What time is it? Your show. Yeah, what time is it? Your show. Yeah, what time is it? Your show. Yeah, he's back from the dead. Your show. Putting it on the map, yeah. Saskatoon. Right next to New York. New York. Yeah, what show, yeah. Your show. What time is it? Your show. Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah. Your show.
You've tuned in, yeah.
Yeah, van Maggie. Bark, bark, wolf, wolf, who wants a treat, yeah. Keep listening.
Hello and welcome to the Tuesday edition of your show. You could probably tell by what you just saw there. We got LB on the ones and twos today. Very well done with the T's, my friend, just like we planned out. This is your show. Still, as far as we know, the only live show on YouTube from 4 to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, located in Saskatoon. And we are so damn grateful to be able to say that to you and thankful to have you along with us. We also make up all sorts of categories that we are number one in, and then we say we're number one. Like today, we are the number one show on YouTube that is riding the coattails of a studio recording session. We're number one. We're number one.
We're number one.
Please hold your applause until the end of the intro. JK, we're number one. We're number one. We're number one. We don't like to brag. We're not braggarts. We also have a cam that everyone comes to see. It is compliments of our sweet, beautiful Margaret. We call it the Maggie cam. Look at her. She's getting so good at hitting her spots, man. Like, we're coming down to like the intro literally starting, and she's like, okay, and she just hops up and dives on her spot, and look at her go. God, she's beautiful. The Maggie Cam for our best pals over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer, Mike and Rochelle, along with Margaret's beautiful boyfriend, Leroy, always there to give you the greatest service in the history of pet stores in the entire universe. As well, if you go after hours or on the weekend, Kirsten, Shar, or Chris will take care of you with that same incredible service you've come to know and love from our friends over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, your pet's natural grocer. By the way, the cleaning station, the best in the city. If you got a muddy dog or animal, you can wash them there. That's the point of the cleaning station. It's very fun. So to all of our friends over at Pet Planet on 8th Street, thank you for being so damn awesome. We appreciate you greatly. As Margaret dozes off. All right. Every Tuesday, we get these guys in here, and we have all sorts of fun. You know one from all the bands, including Untimely Demise, Raven Witch, and Into Eternity. The other one you know from all the products, including soaps, lip balm, more soaps.
Deodorant,
the best deal in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Uncle Mike and Matt from the Bay.
Oh, nice fade.
LB's been really flexing.
I love those.
Really
so
flexing
much.
lately with his swipes and
really
fades and
I
dissolves.
want the heart
He's on
fade
it
so much,
yeah.
though. But
He's
all
over it. Welcome, fellas. Welcome.
Good day. Good day.
can't even focus here.
I told you, he's a swipe master. He's going to throw you off if you pay too much attention to the swiping that is happening. How are you, old friend? Matt first.
Well, I'm feeling
Let's catch
pretty good after that vocal session we had.
It was so fun, dude.
It was just amazing. Like, again, because it takes about 2 minutes to set up the little studio or whatever.
The flip over, and make no mistake, our head engineer, LB, the greatest in the biz, he thought about that when we put it all together.
Yeah.
Everything in there is
of
there
course
for
he
a
did.
reason. So he made sure that if anything else comes in here, it's real easy. This whole idea of this place is to basically like Transformer Studio, man.
Yep.
That's what we do. So all of these things have more than one purpose, and it's all because of that genius there behind the booth.
But yeah, so we set it up, and you're like, "Oh, should I start some things or whatever?" Because you're already warmed up. You're listening to the decline, and you're good, ready to go.
I had my daily no effects cry that I have.
Yeah, you had the headphones on, and then we hear Mike kind of skulk in, and
hey
like,
guys.
okay, well, because he had the first vocal. Let's get him in. So he comes in from like minus 30, dry Saskatchewan weather, and you kind of he had no voice. Did like one line, and then everything was
Boom.
First take Jake,
Boom.
perfect, like album ready, will not need to be like massaged at
fun.
all. It was amazing.
And
yeah.
make no mistake, we are very aware of that. The reason we're one take Jakes is because we're not trained musicians. We're not looking for perfection, and that's why I love projects like this so much, because you can just be yourself and have fun. and maybe a couple other people will enjoy it along the way.
But yeah, it's so fun, like how we're doing that too, where it's like almost a puzzle piece where we did our session
Totally.
last week,
Yeah.
and then we figured out kind of where we want the vocals to sit, and then you guys came in and just did everything, and we're like, oh, maybe let's put a harmony there, and then yeah, we go back and forth like
Very
like
exciting.
No Effects in their final show, you know, when Mike's trying to find his pitch, and all three of us can't quite get it, but we get it together.
Together.
We can.
But
make
yeah,
it.
I'm feeling that kind of post-recording buzz.
The glow. The glow. Yeah, this is awesome. And for anyone listening audibly, like our friend Uncle Brando says, which you should be. He's over playing some No Mercy right now, getting ready for some more records tonight. We are doing this as, I like to say, getting two birds stoned at once from the Trailer Park Boys. So this will also be the audio-only version of our audio-only show that we do called the All Out of Angst podcast. So to everyone tuning into that, welcome to the All Out of Angst podcast. Very fun. That's my intro. How are you, Uncle Mike?
I'm doing okay.
We heard you skulked in here a little bit.
Well, you know, it's,
Sly Fox.
winter in Saskatchewan, that's for sure. I'm sure everyone around here have been snow blowing and plowing and shoveling and,
Man.
you know.
I hate snowstorms, obviously, because they're snowstorms, but I also love all of the kindness that comes out through said snowstorms. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed out front, but like our whole street out here, our whole block down the sidewalk is just taken care of. Like,
Oh yeah,
if you try to go out once the storm is done and like do some shoveling, you get laughed at. You like walk up with your shovel. It's like when Abe Simpson walks into the lady parlor and then who's on tonight? And they just walks in, walks right out. That's when I walk out to the front with my shovel. I'm like, all right, boys, where am I going? They're like, get the hell out of here. Okay, we'll see you later. Walk right back in, put the shovel down because they got the big units rolling
Oh, yeah.
through. Like they're Randy Johnsoning down these sidewalks, and they actually got it all the way up to my gate. So to my snow angels around here, I know Dawn, my neighbor over here, is doing a lot of it. Dawn, the best part about this place too is Dawn is becoming friends with everyone who comes in here. Like people will walk in like, oh, sorry, I'm late. I was just talking to Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
You know,
the other
everyone
day.
does it. He's
We
the
were-
best.
We were coming in last week, and he was doing some shoveling, and then
Yeah.
your neighbor from the other side,
That
she's
Darcy.
like, she's
Yeah.
like, oh, they're gonna be getting the snowblower. Don't worry. And it's just like, man,
it's
you
crazy.
guys out Canadian each
Yeah.
other so good.
It's wild. And my only issue with it is, which I already am the laziest human ever, it really, accentuates that laziness, right?
But you need to have some people that are doing less work to make,
Right.
it's
It's got to even out. You got to.
I want 10,000 tough guys and then 10,000 not so tough guys to make the tough guys look even tougher.
And Don even says, he says, oh no, I love doing it. He just loves doing it. So like,
You
I
can
don't
tell.
feel as bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to the neighbors here, thank you for being so incredible. To all the snow angels. Now I realize I put an alarm in here and I forget what it's for. So a little recap here.
Okay.
There it is.
That's pretty cool. When I used to do a radio show back in the day, I would set random reminders in my phone. And what we would do is, because the show was from 2 to 6, so I just, whenever the night before I'd have something come across my brain while I'm medicated, and it's like 2 in the morning, I'd put it into my phone and forget about it. And then the next day it would ring during the show, and I'd be like, oh, that's right, random reminder of the day. And I actually got intros made for it and everything. And my boss hated it, so I wasn't allowed to do it anymore. So it got canned. But I realized, wait a minute,
Yeah, I
we
like
can
it.
bring this back.
I
It's one of my
like this
favorite things.
shtick.
And look at all the reminders that I had here. So all of these were old reminders that are very funny that I'm going to bring back. So all those are stories.
nice.
But this one today, this is a brand new one. So this is a random reminder of the day. The intro, I should see if I can find the intro. It's fantastic. Okay, here we go. So this is from last night, late. And I don't remember what I wrote about or what it, like anything. That's the best part. So we
This-
both
yeah, it
sort of
could
learn
go
together.
sour
Yeah,
very
it could
quickly.
be anything. So you can almost figure out what kind of mindset we're in here. So this one says, random reminder of the day. You know what I love to see? I spelled love with capitals. Really love
Multiple
it.
O's. Is there multiple O's?
And
Oh,
you
yeah,
said
lots
cap,
of-
so are you like, you know what I love to see?
I'm not angry. I'm
Okay.
amped up.
Okay.
You know what I love to see? When a defensive player helps a QB up after eating his soul. Sportsmanship, man. It's fucking beautiful. That's your random reminder of the day. Apparently, I was watching football. So as I was watching Monday Night Football, a soul must have gotten eaten by a defensive player. Then the defensive player helped him up. Sportsmanship. Apparently, we're big fans of sportsmanship around here. That's where you guys want to. You guys want to see here one more?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so this one was, so this would be years ago. This one was set for 4:11 p.m. It's on that one, so we could say it. Remember when people were saying that Bo Bichette should be sent to the minors or even cut because he's not good at baseball? A minor leaguer in the majors. Heard it all. It was very sad. I think he's very good.
Yeah, that one didn't age.
Not at all. Bo had a really bad season last year, got hurt, and he's not going to be a Blue Jay anymore.
I mean, I thought you were talking about Boba Fett from Star Wars. So I don't
Bounty
know
Hunter.
anything about the
Good old
baseballs.
Boba Fett. God.
I am intrigued though. You said the animal wash. Like if I hadn't like an alpaca. Well, what's the size of this animal wash at?
Over at Pet Planet
yeah.
East Street,
Yeah,
Pet Natural
you know.
Grocer. You could get an alpaca in there.
Yeah? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe
How
it's
big? Are we
time to
talking a
get an
full-grown
alpaca.
adult alpaca?
Well, I don't know. I just want to know my options before
I think
go
if we
animal
open up both the
shopping, I
front
guess.
doors and walk that bad boy in there, we can't get them into. They have a giant tub for like big dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Any dog fits in there. I don't know about alpacas.
I don't even know the size of alpacas, but I'm
Now
just
you got me
know,
thinking. I'll ask Mike or Rochelle. We'll see.
or like an emu, maybe.
Or maybe an emu. What do you have? $1 million?
Maybe, hopefully, soon.
Isn't that the line?
Yeah.
Or maybe an
emu.
emu. If I had $1 million.
Maybe something or an emu.
Are we just going into our BNL Crash Test Dummy cover band we want to start?
Well, I have said like that would be a life goal of mine if I could somehow play a role in getting Stephen Page back in.
We've
with
talked
the
about this.
Bare Naked Ladies, and I could see a performance because honestly, they're a pretty good band, and like when
Dude.
you listen to them, like they're rapping, they're kind of like
Oh,
right.
rapping over
Yeah.
it, and it's quite impressive. Like
Dare I say, their version of Lovers in a Dangerous Time is better than the original.
no,
I love it.
without a doubt.
We were lovers in a dangerous time. Like it hits on all the notes. That's why, and leave it to Coach Mazer, who's like, I always say he's my ghostwriter. He's the other half of my brain, like all the crazy stuff. He's like one of the few people that think on the same level as I do. Insane. Well, so do you guys, by the way. So welcome to the Insane Club. It was either going to be the Crash Test Ladies or the Bare Naked Dummies, and it was going to be a BNL Crash Test Dummy cover band.
Oh,
Once there was this girl who, you know.
I saw Crash Test Dummies but the last time they came, and it was freaking amazing. But like, what's his name? Okay, I can't.
We don't know the names of the Crash Test guys.
I
Come on.
should. But yeah, he came in and like the first 10 seconds, you know, with his real low voice, it was like shaky, and then he locked in and it was album quality, and it was so cool because sometimes he'd like be playing an electric guitar and like playing the solos. Sometimes he would just be like standing up front with like his arms crossed or whatever. But it was just like
the
it
opposite of
was-
a power stance.
Yeah, it was so freaking badass, and I was blown away. And this was during the COVID time, so we were all like all masked up in Broadway theater.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you know you're doing the like have a sip of beer or whatever, and then
God.
my buddy had brought in a vape or whatever, so we were kind of we were
Vaping at the dummy show,
Well,
bro.
yeah, and like the people in front of us, you know, with these like nice blazers and
Yeah.
everything, they're giving us the most evil stare.
What
like
the hell, guys?
Like
This
the
isn't a
worst
rock
thing that you
concert.
get a little waft of like vape in a at a rock concert. True, it's Crash Test Dummies, but Brad Roberts, that's his name.
Took you long enough.
I just wanted to keep talking about nothing until I
Killed
got
it.
his name.
No, that was perfect. We call that dancing in the business.
Dance?
That was a great dance right there.
Dance.
I'm speaking of dancing. We got LB running the show on Thursday. He's looking at me like, "Well, I know how to dance." International Man of Mystery. I'm sure that you are an incredible dancer as well. This guy probably has cardboard that he just carries around with him just in case a rap battle breaks out. I feel like he would destroy in a rap battle. Either way, he's going to be doing the show Thursday as it's American Thanksgiving, which means our good friends at Sotner Concrete Services is having the annual American Thanksgiving Party, as football is the name of the game. So you got a game at 10:30, you got a game at 2:30, and you got a game at 6:30.
Oh,
So
that's a
we
full
go
day.
over and the chefs cook an amazing meal. We sit and we watch football all day, and it's so much fun. So this year, I'm very excited to be a part of it. I missed the last couple of years, and LB is going to be running the show Thursday. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Sweet.
Very excited for that. That's just a little bit of something. So we were talking about the snow, as there is a lot of snow, and not the idea of, but the stories that come along with big snowfall are usually pretty interesting, because we've all, living where we live, have gone through some very interesting, dare I say, scary road trips, driving through treacherous terrain and all that stuff. You sort of got us started on that. Maybe tell me a little bit about what you've been through on these roads
Yeah,
as
well, I'll
people
just-
continue to clean themselves out
I'll
of it.
pick a few random ones. Like
And like you said, they're not really entertaining, but they sort of paint the picture.
they're all the same. The one that just popped into my head now, again, because we used to take that old Yorkton route to Winnipeg, which is it's a one lane highway. It's not as good. I don't know why we ended up taking it. I think it's like a little bit shorter, but
In theory,
yeah,
I think
but
it's a little bit shorter.
But because you're passing all the time, you end
Right.
up burning more gas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had went all throughout the night driving home, because we used to drive up almost every weekend to jam
practice.
with our drummer and,
Yeah.
and guitar player in Winnipeg. And I'm gonna say like just a little past Cologne, say like we were coming towards Saskatoon, and the road should have been closed, but we started hitting those, where the drifts go across the whole
Oh,
highway, and
yes.
it's almost like a concrete consistency. So like you go over and it's like,
Yeah.
and old Merbs is driving. We got Testament blaring in the stereo. We've got all of our gear loaded up in our Chevy Cobalt, and just
the
just
Cobalt.
load it to the nuts or whatever. Anyways, we hit this one drift. And we go completely 90 degrees. Murray turns into the steer, and we're going again with the over the wall, listening to Testament, get through it, and then as we go by, there's a car there, just everywhere else,
Graveyard.
and ended up making it home, and it was kind of one of those things where you just got that cold sweat, and you're like, we're never doing this again, and the next weekend we're out. But
Did the exact same thing.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, just a million of those types of things.
It's funny how you explained it perfectly. They're like giant speed bumps literally
Yeah.
out there. And they'll get you.
Like you always think like, oh, I don't want them to close the roads down, but it's like,
There's a reason.
There's a reason why you close down
Yeah.
the roads
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, I was, I guess it was, I don't know, last week snowstorm, not this week's,
Yes.
not this
Yeah.
week's,
Recent.
the
Here we
first,
go.
the first
Okay.
dump, and quite blowy. Like it was way more blowy than it was these last couple days, right? Like we
Yeah.
accumulated more on Saturday and Sunday, but it wasn't so way more drifts last week.
And the visibility.
Yeah, visibility was terrible. I was going to visit my mom because she's in a home kind of just down the road from us. And I mean, this isn't really life or death or anything, but not thinking about it, I just take the back road because it's like, it's just easier. And it's kind of one of those things, like same thing where you hit drifts and it wasn't so bad. And then you keep going and keep going. It's like, shit, like now I'm too far into it. You can't turn around now. So you
can't.
just have to keep going. Right.
That's the worst.
And it's just, you're just hitting these drifts and, whatever, eventually made it there and everything was fine. But it's, when you have a low car that's got little to no clearance and you're dodging drifts and, it's, drifts, Saskatchewan.
It's winter.
What do you do? It's winter. I mean, we have to know it's coming. It's just always a shock when it does, I guess, a little bit.
This is great. I'm just realizing this plays right into our all out of angst sort of format because we're just the old guys talking about the weather now.
Yeah.
We did it.
Old man
We made
gets
it.
mad at the weather.
We made it.
It's because it's howling.
That's it. All right, I got two for you guys. Buckle up because these are real doozies. So I was working in Slave Lake, Alberta. Would have been 2002, I believe. And I was home for Christmas. And it was great. It was fantastic. And then I had to be back for Monday. I was doing news and sports on Cat Country, KWA. And my shift started at 5 a.m. So we had supper on the Sunday. And it was snowing. And I'm like looking at my dad and like, well, should I go for it? He goes, what do you mean should you? You have a job, son. Get out of here. Like, all right, Pops, you got it. I hop in the 1990 Crown Victoria, handed down to me from my brother, who had it handed down to him from my grandpa. And off we go. I always say it was like driving on a cloud. And we're making our way to Slave Lake, and I got to make the turnoff, the Fort Sask turnoff. And it's a big runway, and then it's got a bunch of steel posts on the turnaround as it goes uphill to go towards that way. So I'm in the Crown Vic. I'm going about 70 because it's obviously a snowstorm. Everyone's going slow. And as I go to turn off and go up and around, the turning doesn't work anymore. So I do this one. I'm like, oh no. And I do this one, and I say, okay, I'm going in the ditch. So first things first, we have to get through this post and this post while we're going up on an angle and make sure we don't hit any of those. So I take her straight, and I go like I really, really wish at least one person saw this. Because if you didn't see what happened, you would never believe it. It's just one of those moments. And so I go straight through the posts. So we got that done. Like, oh, thank goodness. And now we're going down. And as we're going down, I floor the gas and I slowly turn and it takes, and I revving up, I go flying up this hill and shoot back on to the road, dodging again 2 posts that are probably no more than 5 or 6 feet apart. Like literally the car wouldn't fit if you drove it through there. But I had some sort of angel just picking me up and guiding me back.
Divine intervention.
This whole time I'm screaming, "Ah, oh my God, please God save me, take the wheel, Lord." And then it's like nothing even happened. I come out the other side and I'm right back on track.
And then no one's there to see it.
Not a soul, because it's a snowstorm. You're not supposed to be freaking driving, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I come up the other side and I'm right back, like literally. It was about 30 seconds of chaos, and then just I was breathing and I was like, oh, that was crazy. And I pulled over and I called my dad. And I have a cell phone. These days I had a cell phone for emergencies only because I'm not a cell phone guy. So like, this is kind of an emergency, so I called Dad. Hey, it's that Fort Saskatchewan turnoff here, and I almost died. He's like, well, you good? It's like, yeah. Like, okay, well, why are you calling? It's like, see you later. I had to tell somebody. It was crazy. I almost died. Anyways, we drove slowly the rest of the way, and we made it. I think it was an extra like 3 or 4 hours. Oh. So instead of being like the 10 or 11 it's supposed to take to Slave Lake, it was like over 13. But we got there, had like 2 hours sleep, and then I was on the air the next morning, bringing people all that real important news in Slave Lake. That's the first one. That one shook me. The second one, we love going to football games with the boys. And we were on quite the streak for a while before everyone got married and had kids, where we go to different games. So my buddy Pistol Pete took me out to a lovely Buffalo Bills game when he was living in Toronto. That's my first one. And then later on we went down to Miami. But in between those two, my man Vern, my sweet, beautiful Vern, one of my oldest, bestest buddies, along with my buddy Sven and my buddy Lame Train. Speaking of Cobalts, we're in my lovely, I think it was a 2006 Cobalt or a 2000, whatever it was, something, but it was a great Cobalt. And we decided, boys, we're going to take this vehicle to Minnesota. We're going to go to a Vikings-Packers game.
Nice.
Hell yeah, dudes. Everyone piles in. We leave from Saskatoon, Lame Train and Sven and myself, and we get to Regina. We pick Vern up from his law office because he's this big, important lawyer. Just joking, Vern. I love you so much. He's my sweet, beautiful prince. He is a big deal, though. It's kind of funny that these guys get pulled down by my presence. You know what I mean? So we go literally into his law office. Vern, we're going. Get out of here. We yank him out, and we start hitting the road. And right before we hit the border, Lame Train and I decided to smoke a little left-handed cigarette, and he put the leftover in his pocket because he tends to do that because he was smoking the Colts at the time as well. So he had a half-smoked left-handed cigarette and a half-smoked Colt, like cigar, in his pocket. So we go in there, and they sniff right through us. They're like, all right, boys, we're going to have to investigate this. You get in the holding cell here. So we're sitting there at the border, and it's like, by this time, 9 p.m. Like, it's getting late. We got a lot of driving to do still. And they literally took us one at a time, and they went through all of our stuff. They didn't find the stuff in his pocket, which was great because that would have been a real issue. We thought they did because he was in there the longest, but they were just grinding us to see if they could get anything out of us to, like, you guys are in trouble.
Right.
Went through our whole car, like, did the whole 9 yards, and we told them, like, yeah, search everything, like, we're fine. And they let us go. So we have a golf tournament called the Mangler Cup that we did for a long, long time. And there's MVP votes, and inside of my wallet, I had kept a bunch of these MVP votes. So the guy's going through my wallet, he pulls these things out. One of them says, G-Force, because you have the biggest wiener, and like all these like hilarious, not appropriate things are written on these little pieces of paper in my wallet. And the guy just goes, dude, what are these? It's like, those are mementos from a golf tournament I played. He's just like, come on, man. Like one of them says, I would leave my wife for you in a heartbeat. MVP. It's just like these dumb things, but they're mementos for me. So besides that, we're all clear. I knock us all down a peg, and we get going. And as we're going, the snow is picking up. And we realize no one else is on the highway. It's just us. And so we're driving down. Now we're in America, so we're on the other side of the border, and one vehicle passed us. And I was driving at the time, and we were going about 60. One truck passed us, and we all said, boy, that guy's not going to last long. Sure enough, 5 minutes later, he's in the ditch.
Yeah.
So we slowly roll up, and we like, hey, buddy. Like, we have no room in our vehicle. It's the Cobalt with all of our stuff, and we have a PS2 set up in the back so we can play Madden on our way down. So it's like a party Cobalt. And we told the guy, like, hey, I don't know, like, we can try to squeeze you. And he's like, no, it's all good. I got a guy coming. I was like, all right, well, if you're good, you're good. And we get going on our way. Now, Verno is very well known for having horrible vision, to the point where we call him Twin, as in 2020, for the guy who can't see anything. So he's the blindest dude I know that still officially can see. And he says, all right, boys, I'll take my driving shift now. I go, all right, look at that. Everybody's like, are we sure about this? I'm like, yeah, okay, this one, let's see what he's got. So he hops in there. I hop in the passenger seat, and we start going again. All right, now, Vern, like, we want to keep her around 60 or 70, nice and slow and steady. It's all good. He's like, oh, yeah, I got this. And he's just going like this. And after about 5 minutes, we start getting into the roadblocks, like the big, huge snowbanks are in the middle of the highway. And it was like a slow turn. And there was a couple other points where like, whoa, hey, to let him know. But this one, he does a slow turn and hits this snowdrift and goes, ah! And we start doing a little slide. And then we finally come to a stop. Again, thank the good Lord, there was no other traffic out there, because we would have been dead for sure. So he pulls over and he looks at me and goes, I don't know if this is a good idea. Like, Twin, get out of here. So I hopped back on. I ended up driving the rest of the way. It was another one of those like 14-hour drives. Everyone slept. We pulled up to our hotel in Minnesota at like 7 or 8 in the morning. And I was so tired because I did the whole drive because I didn't want anyone else to have to deal with it because it's my vehicle. I should be the one if anything happens. It's on me. And we got there, and the boys let me sleep for a couple hours before we got back at it. But boy, oh boy, that ride up, I'll never forget it, man. We went through it. Like, those are those moments where it's like, oh, man.
Was that U.S. Bank Stadium that you saw that game at?
It was still the old one. I think it was still the Metrodome.
Cool.
And it was so cool in there, man. It's fantastic.
Okay, I think I have one more. I'll try and give a Coles Notes, and I'm not going to use all names because
good.
So 10 years ago, we were playing the Death to All Western Canadian leg. So this is again a band that influenced Untimely Demise like greatly, and then Obituary was on that tour. So like a bunch of big metal bands. So normally we wouldn't tour in late November in Canada, but we're like, this is a sweet tour.
Can't miss that.
So, and again, we had members that lived in Winnipeg at the time. So, okay, to make everything work, we like took the people from Winnipeg dropped their. It was like a Sprint. It was like a little hatchback vehicle. I didn't know at the time, but he just had summer tires on. So he parks the vehicle there, and again, I didn't know at the time, but this the person who had this was bringing a quarter pound of
the good stuff.
The good stuff for someone on the tour or whatever that had requested it.
I haven't heard the term quarter pound in a long time.
Yeah. So yeah, that vehicle was parked in front of my parents' place or whatever, and then what was going to happen? And me and Aaron just started dating like I'm going to say a couple months before this or whatever. Her and another buddy were going to take that hatchback and meet us in Regina once we made our way from Vancouver to play that show, and then that's when we were gonna do the swap of stuff. So there was a huge storm here, and the roads are icy, and Aaron and my buddy started taking this vehicle, and just I think on Circle Drive or something, he like hits the gas, does a full 360 or whatever, and then just couldn't keep it on the road, and like they almost didn't come or whatever, but I guess he just like got out of the vehicle after they did the 360. I think he just like had a smoke or something and kind of regrouped. Deep breath, and they like white knuckled all the way to Regina. But I had no idea that I was like giving a vehicle that Aaron was going to be driving up that had summer tires, and this is before legalization. I didn't know it was going to be full of like
that's not just
marijuana.
That's not just a little bit of a little bag. That's a lot.
But yeah, that was a crazy tour because from Vancouver the roads were shut down, so we had to stop halfway through Vancouver, and I think it was our Calgary show, and they opened up again just in time for me and Murray were each driving a vehicle. We made it to Calgary 20 minutes before our sound check. We didn't have any sleep, and then you're playing a show.
Go get 'em.
And that was like, I think that one was like 1,800 people, which again for Untimely Demise,
huge.
that's a big show for us
Huge
or whatever.
crowd.
And you're playing with the bands that are your heroes, but you're on no sleep and you're stressed from all that.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't even
just-
enjoy it like that, hey?
No, you really don't. You almost like those tours where you're driving yourself and there's winter stuff. You have to wait until you're back and safe, and then you can kind of like reminisce about it. But in the
Take it all
time,
in,
it's just
yeah.
stressful. But yeah, the point of that story is that we had left that summer tires vehicle for our buddy and Aaron, who I was recently started dating, to like meet up, and then totally screwed them over.
Things could have went a totally different way there.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Dang. Well done. Hanging out with the All That Angst podcast boys, as this episode is doubling as an episode of said podcast, which you can find on all the audio-only outlets, including Spotify's and Amazon's and Apple's and all the other things that kids like to say, hey, can I get this app or that app? It's probably on there. That was my reset. Sorry. I'm angsty. I'm angsty, boys. I wanted to get some music talk in here as we continue to roll on. King Diamond. Tell me about what's going on here, because this whole sort of, again, I said earlier, earlier as in previous shows, I had a bunch of buddies who were so pumped to go to that show. Pumped to go when it was supposed to be in Saskatoon. Then to have it canceled, it just broke some hearts. And then we all sort of said, okay, well, that's that. But apparently there's some guys that were still chasing the Diamond Dream.
yeah, well, because it's so weird, because you're figuring it was sales. I don't know. That's probably why. But it was weird that Saskatoon, Edmonton, and I think one other, like, somewhere West Coast, U.S., those 3 dates were canceled. And we're like, and they just said due to unforeseen circumstances.
Right.
So it's super vague.
That's the easy out.
Kind of like, that
Usually
sucks.
that
And then,
means anything, yeah.
like I know my one buddy from Stryker, or he used to play bass in Stryker. Now he's an EMT guy or whatever. He's saving lives, but he's still into music, and he played in another band, Traveler. But either way, it got canceled, and he's like, well, I'm getting a ticket to the Calgary one because that one was still on.
Yes.
And again, they had the same storm system that we were having. So he drove up, and then I just see the Facebook. I'm reading the comments of my other buddy from Edmonton. He's like, yeah, it looks like the Calgary show is canceled. I just read that. So don't bother going up. And then I see my buddy Dave Arnold. He's like, dang, I just got here. And, yeah. So you're like reading it in real time of like his disappointment. So yeah, Calgary and another place got canceled, but it's like in the winter, that's pretty dick
So
to do
much
that. It's like, because now you're probably stuck in Calgary.
yeah,
because
you're not going
it's not
anywhere.
like you can go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, just having to,
again, that's why it's like touring Canada in the winter is such a gamble.
so hard, man. And then no one thinks about that, right? You just see a good looking spot that fits into what you're putting together, and so you just throw it on there, not thinking, well, at this point of the season, that might be a rough spot to get people out.
And the worst, like, it's Vancouver to usually Edmonton or wherever, Calgary, that's, I don't know, 11, 13 hours. Like, it's quite a trek, even when it's like summer conditions and good. So like you throw where you have to slow down to like 80 the whole way, and then you get a road close or like some bad, like it really turns into a long time. So yeah, I hate those drives.
Do you think King Diamond is looking at this and saying, man, I feel bad for not getting that done. I'd love to come back here. Is that something you think goes through his head?
Well, I think it's disappointing because I don't recall a time when he's played Western Canada.
Yeah, that's why everyone was so pumped.
Yeah, so it's like a unique thing, and this is a chance to really sell your band. And these are the things where, that can turn into you having a nice second wave of your career, third wave of your career. And I don't know. At this point, I'm a little sour where if he comes back again, I'll kind of be like, I'll wait till the day out.
Don't hold it against him, but be cautiously optimistic is the term we like to use.
This is true.
Cautiously optimistic. So, man, we've got, this is crazy. Look at what we've done in the last, hour and a half, give or take. We did a bunch of music, 2 hours, damn near 2 hours.
I know.
Just recorded music. We got talking about relevant stuff like the weather. People always say, I hate that term too. People always say, I have been told that people like to talk about what's relevant and what's going on, and you should be prepared with all of those things to bring them to the people. just maybe like, oh, you're so, I get so mad. Ugh. But this is a pretty big one.
This one makes sense, but I'm true to that. Like, I hate small talk with a passion. Like, I'm like the most introverted guy, but I can be extroverted if I'm talking about music or things that I like. Once I'm out of my shell, I'm fine. But I hate going into like a place and talking local sports, the weather, any of these things that you're supposed. What do you do for a living? I don't know. Is it a good job? What you do? Like, I just don't like talking about that stuff. To me, it seems like it's just like you're going through the motions, where I prefer to just have a deep conversation about something else, or just talk about what I love or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the fact that we're talking about weather, and I passionately hate that, but hey, we're adding some stories to it. Like, for example, when I was getting in my car the other day, it wasn't shoveled around it, and I like kind of just like stepped around to kind of give myself a path to like brush the snow.
Like stomping the snow down?
Yeah, so I did that, and then I needed to make my way to the like plug-in or whatever, and there was like no shovel, and I could have like traipsed through all the snow, but then, you know, the snow gets in your socks, and now my feet are going to be wet for work all day.
Wet socks,
so I basically took the windshield scraper and just like did like a kind of a Canadian like curling sweep. Where
Very hard, hurry!
Like, maybe like a few like flakes at a time, where I'm just like, I was probably, I'm going to say 3 or 4 minutes of doing that. Anyone would have seen me, they're like, this guy, he's
Who done this guy?
Special guy.
First winter in Saskatchewan, eh?
I remember my first winter.
But my hands and feet didn't get cold, and, you know, it worked.
Yeah,
but
who's laughing now?
I'm fine with looking like a dork.
Yep.
So that's...
Dude, I'm only going to tell you this out of unison between our souls. I shoveled, I think, 5 different times during the storm. And each time I was... So I had pajama pants on, and they were really tight pajama pants. Probably not made for a fellow like me, but I digress. I had them on. I had my patented smoking jacket, a.k.a. the robes that we got. Got a lot of robes here. I had a robe on, tied up, put a toque on, and I don't have a single pair of gloves in my house. So I used 2 pairs of socks on my hands.
Oh, man, yes.
And I got on that shovel, and boy, did I go. And I shoveled with socks on my hands and a robe around my body. Yeah. So I looked probably maybe a little bit less dumb than you.
Well, I can.
That was a joke.
I might be able to one up that though, because I was taking out the kitty litter yesterday.
Here we go.
And again, I'm all sleeves or no sleeves, and when I'm doing work inside, I just had sleeveless on, and I think I was wearing like a similar to like your like schlubby pajama pants. So I had those and sleeveless, and I was taking out the big bag of kitty litter, and my neighbor. Well, first of all, she's like. She's like, yeah, I'm just calling Jonas, that's our upstairs, to push me out. I'm stuck, because I had asked how it's going.
No.
I was like, well, I can help you or whatever. So, threw out the garbage, and I came back. And again, I'm just in my sleeveless shirt, and it's probably minus 20 something. And there's people in the back alley kind of looking at me like, this guy's a special little guy.
This guy's on something.
Either way, it was awesome because I used the fence or whatever as like my prying thing. And use that for leverage, and
I gotta put push.
Yeah, we were just locked in where my neighbor, she was like, woo, and we like with
Rocket,
4 pushes,
baby.
got her out, and she was locked in, but then she had this interesting route where she decided to just back out all the way through the back alley and then into the side street that's full of snow, and I almost got stuck again. So then I'm like kind of like in the back alley for like 2 minutes, like making sure that she didn't need another push.
Yeah.
She was out, and then a couple hours later, I opened up my front door, and there was a couple little beers left for me, which was it was pretty cute. Yeah.
Man, yeah, there's something special. You get a good feeling. I guess because you're helping someone, hey? That's what it is. When you push someone out that you've never met before, and you sort of have that, like, thanks, bro. It's like, thank you.
Yeah, especially when it's someone you know you're never going to see again.
Yeah,
There's something cool about that.
Man, at the old house on 4th Street, I was coming home one day from work, and it was a corner house. And I pulled up into my driveway, and as I'm pulling up, I noticed a car stuck in the back alley. So I didn't really look much. I pulled into the garage, and then I got out and walked around and looked a little closer. It was a cop car. The cop car is stuck in the back alley. So now I'm like, okay, how do we play that? do I want to draw attention to myself? Because if these cops are looking for any reason to arrest someone, I'm pretty sure I got a couple around here, like just from the way we lived at the time.
It's kind of like
It's a
whenever
long
I
time ago.
drive by a cop, I always give them the wave, like
The hello, I
it's like,
respect you.
yeah,
Please don't.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm here.
Nothing
for
to
you.
hide.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
So by the time I walked out and went around, because this is like my backyard's right here and they are right here. And the one cop is out pushing and the other one's in there. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly they saw me pull into my garage. I can't just bail on these cops now. What do I do? So I look over and then I see they're struggling and I say, hey officers, need a hand? Like just the happiest neighbor, eh? And the cop looks back, he's like, you got a shovel? Like, yeah, I got a shovel. So I go over and I start digging out with the police officers. And the whole time in my head, please, 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 like, don't ask me my name or don't ask me about anything. Like, let's just keep this very business-like between us. And two of the nicest police officers you've ever met, and they were so grateful, and I thanked them, and they thanked me, and it was just a really, really good experience. And I learned, like, you're not supposed to fear cops unless you have a reason to fear them, right?
Yeah.
And so it was nice just to connect and remind myself there are good people out there everywhere, no matter where you're looking or what you're doing. So that was another one of those times where, well, it's probably the only time where I've actually sat down and said, should I go help them or not?
Had it been anybody else, you wouldn't have questioned it. You
Yeah,
would have
it's
gone,
just
right?
it sort of caught me a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, even then, the feeling of helping someone.
But yeah, it just
You
shows how
roll
it
off
can
of
bring
that.
any of these two people from whatever walks of life, and then
That's
it
it.
puts you on the same page. You're all even at that moment, and then
Yeah.
you're achieving a common goal.
Yep.
And yeah,
When you're growing up listening to songs that say F authority, that say F the police, like it's just, it's ingrained in you. So you have to think actually before you do that because your brain's been so trained in that way to not trust these people.
for me, it was from childhood memories. Like because we weren't the most well-to-do family, so like money was always tight. And I know there was a few times where like we got pulled over, and just like the fear in my parents, like they're like, make sure your seatbelt's on, and like, and I just remember like being, I don't know if I was like 4 years old but very, very young, and just like, make sure the seatbelt's on, and that fear of feeling like it's going to cost us
can't
money,
afford
that
a ticket.
my parent, like,
That's it.
so that's where my kind of distrust, or like, I don't want to say hatred, but that's where like it was born for me, was that type of
Yep.
thing. Or like, I know there was one time I like had a balloon in the back, and I was like making a bunch, and the police pulled us over, and I wasn't wearing my belt, and I think my parents got a ticket for it. But yeah, I just remember feeling so bad about that, and like how I'm like taking bread off my brothers and
Yeah,
sisters
man.
Right.
table
wearing
for
it.
that. So that's why like initially the first 41 years of my life, I really did. No, I they've been growing on me lately, but I would say the first 30 years I had a general
Our
distrust.
brains were formed
Yeah.
to be like that,
Yeah.
though, right? Like,
And just the
that's
punk
stuff we
rock,
listen to.
like you say.
Like I'm thinking, what would have been great? Like if this was a TV show, and I'm out here helping push the police officer out from the back alley, and say I had a song set as like my ringer, like F police, F police brutality, like we're pushing. I just cursing them out. Sorry guys, I gotta take this. Just 1 sec. Like how, like there's so many things that could play out, and it's just nice to know that if you're a good person, you're doing good things, right? That's all it takes. Very exciting as we continue here on the Tuesday edition of your show, hanging out with the All Out Angst podcast boys, warming up the seats for the Commander Cookout fellas who are coming in here right after as we're getting ready to shoot a couple more, well, one more episode if it's any more than that, along with the pre-show. Uncle Brando's going to murder Network Ryan. So that's what we're doing. And I do want to get one thing in here as we got this sort of well of information and topics that we can use thanks to that beautiful brain of yours. Taking us all the way back to the days of Napster and LimeWire and sort of, as we're and we've talked about this numerous times now, us being the angsty fellas we are, like we've gone through so much shit within our lives, as in like time-wise, as in moving from cassettes to CDs, from CDs to MP3 players, and on we go, and moving from those Napsters, those LimeWires, and getting back into paying for music. Like that pirating stuff was right at the peak of when we were like the
Yeah.
most us. It took us away from the CDs, which just like CDs took us away from cassettes. Now, as we move forward, I'm sitting here with a musician who is paid through music. What is your stance on making music free? Should it be free to download?
I have a little like from both sides.
Me too, because it's a lot more murky now than it used to be.
Here's
right?
my thing with nobody really getting paid for music now. We're starting to like with the older bands, ending. NoFX is done. Certain bands, AC/DC will be done soon. All these bands are ending. And because you don't really get paid that well, like not enough to make a living on it, we're not really getting the same quality of bands, like where you can't have people all day just jamming it out and getting tight.
Right.
We're basically just like fitting it in when we can.
Yeah.
So like
100%.
I feel like the quality of music is possibly going down because people aren't jamming. It's just all pieced together kind of stuff that's all comped together, and it's not like a band that was tight. So I think with people not getting paid, it that kind of hurts. But at the same point, I didn't like back in the day where people were putting out CDs and, like it cost 50 cents to make a CD or something, and they're selling them for $30, and there's only like one good track on it. And again, it's not like many of the artists were really getting paid. It was more the record labels that were making that money. So it's like, I feel like we should be getting paid better than what we are now, but I still kind of feel like it should be free to be accessed on the internet.
That's sort of what it is now, right?
Yeah.
Like literally you are in the middle of creating music from scratch that you will put out for people to listen to for free. But that's something that happens.
Yeah, I just don't know where the stream of money is going to come from, but something needs to give to make it possible for bands to go out and do a tour and not have to, like refinance their mortgage or, go out or even be able to afford to pay rent or whatever.
Maybe that's something that we can do. Maybe us here at the Dufferin Avenue Media Network can come up with sort of a think tank on how or what we would need to allow people to do something like that. Because if that's all we got left to save music, I'm in, man. Let's do it.
Because we've tried, like when Untimely Demise did our Kickstarter, we basically, we pre-sold the album and a custom, like exclusive T-shirt or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't really have our pricing system down, and with the shipping and everything,
Right.
we weren't making all that much per everyone that like
Donated
to our Kickstarter. So like we maybe made a couple $1,000 like once everything was paid for, which is great. That
Right.
helped pay for
But
a lot
still
of it.
just a
But
drop in the bucket
That
for-
is a drop in the bucket to make an album. And then there's you can get grants, but again, they only will cover 50% of what your costs are, and you're still getting taxed on that money. And so it's like, it's just not quite enough to make a go of it. And I think the issue is, you're not getting the same quality of stuff. And then you're getting a ton of people that are just doing their own, like us making their
it's
stuff.
on your own, DIY.
But it's like completely oversaturated with like these unprofessional, like music. And we're oversaturated with that stuff, where something about the bands that were like paid to play, you knew it was going to be good and you knew what to listen to, where I find it's hard to find new music.
Man.
Yeah.
My wheels are turning right now as I sit here and think about all of the musicians that have come through the studio within the last 2 months with our friends over at the Three Hall Public House and with Uncle Grandma and with all of these things that we have here. If we were to get like a round table, get like 10 or 15 musicians that are in the middle of it right now, all sit down and say, okay, if you were to choose to start going all in on a music career, what would that look like and what would you need to succeed?
Yeah.
And if we made a list of all those things and then we started checking them off, like, okay, we can do this, we can do this. If we could make a roadmap to being successful with music, I think that would be a valuable thing, not for us money-wise, but for society as a whole. Because you're going to bring music back, baby.
I really think it would be cool if governments, like there's Sask Music and there's those affiliates all over, like in every province.
Yeah.
But I think the key things is Sask Music should have a garage with about 5, vans that are tour ready, with hitches, because
Genius.
that's
I love
that's
that.
a huge cost for bands, is like being able to get a vehicle to take you out there, because that's another, over $1,000 to rent a vehicle. And I would also like to see like maybe there's like a kind of like a circuit of venues, so like Amigos and all the like Starlight Room in Edmonton, Exchange,
Sign 'em all on.
and with these venues have like standard backlines that have like the cabinets and like a good drum kit and stuff.
Everything
so we
ready.
don't need to be bringing all of these. Like there's
That's
no
one, that's
reason.
not one of your commandments,
Yeah,
bro.
there's no reason to be
That's it.
moving all that stuff when everyone has them. It's like it seems pointless that everyone needs to have their own little cabinet and stuff. So I think things like that could really drive down the cost to tour. And then I'd just like to see maybe rather than grants where you have to pay 50% on your own, it would be nice if it could just be like hey, we're willing to give you a drop in the bucket to help out, like whether it be $1,000, bursary to your tour or
Dude,
something.
Not
But
even that. Like, let us sponsor you. Let's give you a logo, slap it on
Yes.
your guitar. That's
Yeah,
that's do
absolutely.
business. That's what I'm learning, man. Business, and I use the term business as like business, all of it. It's as crazy or as simple as you want to make it. That's what I'm learning as I, run around with my head cut off around here. The business side of things is like, as long as you're passionate about what you want to get done and how you want to do it, and kind, and you're not in people's faces, and you're not, I have to run business, I have to do this and that. Like, if you can come into a business interaction with an open mind and an open heart, it's so easy. It's so easy to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
It's just it's so hard for everyone. Everyone's like just grinding.
Oh, it's tough.
We gotta get rid of
yeah,
that.
I forget. It was one of the guys from Exodus said basically musicians are just walking or traveling t-shirt salesmen. Like that's
Right.
I've heard that
all
one
it
a
is.
lot.
Yeah, and it's kind of sucks because t-shirts are expensive. You have to pay to get art, and then your margins are pretty light. And then when you play the bigger venues like Opera House and they take a cut of your, which is all your margins.
Stuff, yeah.
That's all that you
That's where it
have.
goes.
So it's like that doesn't really seem like the solution for musicians to get paid. So something else has
think we're onto
something has to
something here.
give.
I think we're onto something here. Uncle Mike, as you get set to finish that yawn.
Sorry.
No. So don't you ever apologize.
fading over
Trust
here.
me. No, it's all good. Dude, you had a day. We all had days. And you poured your heart and soul onto wax today. So you got that wearing on you. What's your stance on free music for all? What do you think about that? Like downloading music. Should you be able to do it?
I mean, as a listener, as a consumer, that's how I used to get a lot of my music.
But
And then when I would, when bands would come, then I would go to the show or support or buy some merch. I would still buy CDs, obviously, but I don't buy as much music now because I can't afford it, and I don't feel like paying the Spotify's or the Apple, because it's like the end musician is getting pennies.
No,
right?
Basically,
It's ridiculous.
there's no point in doing that.
But I also
Seriously,
think like
like-
you can't, like that's how these people choose to make a living. It's like you gotta support them any way you can.
Yeah.
It's it's a tricky one. And maybe that's why I still listen to the same music I did 30 years ago, because I have it in my library.
Yeah.
I'm actually in the process. I just built a workbench over the last couple weekends for
course
my
you did.
garage.
So
and
manly.
I've got this this 3-disc changer with the dual cassette
Hell yeah,
player.
dude. The
it's-
party
yeah,
starter. Hell yeah.
I gotta bring that thing out and put that, and then I've got tapes that I've,
Yeah.
I found a couple DRI tapes that were like tucked away somewhere else. I mean, I've got just all sorts of like taped tapes or just bought tapes, but like all the shit that I'm gonna revive and keep playing it because I mean, partly I don't put effort into finding new music. I think the avenues to find new music, even though there's the internet and technology, it's not as, I don't know.
It's
Right, it's like you got to
oversaturated.
sort
Like,
through
there's
so much
10
crap to
million
find
bands,
something
yeah.
half decent. So, I mean, so I just keep listening to the same old
Man,
stuff.
me too. And like my thing is with like I have an Apple Music thing, and like there'll be weeks where I won't even open it, and then all of a sudden I'll get an email saying, "Hey, we're taking $12 out of your account." It's like, for what? Like, oh, you got me again, Apple.
Yeah.
At work,
Oh, I
I
get so mad at
tend
Apple.
to like
Yeah.
streaming because it is nice.
Well, I mean, and that's when I was in the garage. I didn't have my music player set up yet, so
Yeah.
it's like I had the Spotify or whatever, but I don't pay. Like, it's just the free thing, so you get the ads. But the convenience of it is quite nice.
There.
But I sometimes struggle with, You give me too many
That's
options,
me.
and I
It's the
can't
Netflix
choose
syndrome,
one.
man.
I can't.
I
Where do I
know.
even start?
I can't.
Right?
One thing that would kind of be nice, like a trend that would be, like how now when you go to Starbucks drive-through, you're like prompted, what do you want to tip?
I wouldn't know that, Matt, because I've never been to a Starbucks drive-through before.
Well,
Please tell me, how is it?
Well, no, when you go to Starbucks or whatever, and you get your coffee that costs $6.
Hold on, what's the order? What do you get?
Usually grande Americano with a little bit of cream. That's espresso and hot water.
That's not even close to as funny as I thought it was going to be. You're not like a triple mocha, half oil, half honey,
Well,
half...
if it's a Saturday afternoon
Sprinkles.
and me
Treat
and
yourself?
Aaron, we'll
Hell
get
yeah.
what do
Treat
we
yourself.
call
That's
we bullshit drinks. We want to get one of them bullshit drinks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
so you get your $6 coffee, and now it's prompting. Do you want a 15, 20, 25% tip or whatever? And like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's a trend that started. It would be nice when people listen to the YouTube song after it's like, would you like to donate 25 cents to this artist? Or, because
Genius.
just, hey, this song really hit home for me today. Yeah, I'd like to donate 25 cents to them. If some sort of stream like that, where it went directly to the
To
artist,
the artist.
I don't
Man.
know if that's a possibility, but
No, you
something like
just
that
got
would
me
be
thinking.
cool.
Wikipedia. My buddy Pistol Pete, one of my bestest, most closest, dearest friends. He explained to me, because I kept getting these emails like every 6 months or whatever from Wikipedia saying, hey, like we've noticed you use our service. We love any sort of donation. And I told him, I said, yo, Pistol, can you believe this Wikipedia guy's trying to take me for some money? He goes, dog, you don't donate? I was like, what do you mean donate? He goes, think about how often you use Wikipedia and you think that you're above donating $5 to them. What makes you so special? I was like, that's a great point. Because if nobody supports this, Wikipedia is going to be gone.
Right.
And we all use it so much. So I was like, you know what? Pistol, you're right again. Look at you go. So now I make that $5 donation and everyone's happy. But if you don't have enough people doing that, nobody gets Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And that was the point. Like, you have to have a couple of good souls out there or else we lose everything. It'll just unravel right in front of you.
Yeah.
Life lessons. Whew.
Whew, yeah, we
was a heavy
really
one
got,
today.
really got into that.
All right, let's see if LB is hiding any Frankies in there. And I'm not talking banh mi's, bro.
Bonnie's.
Although I do love me some Frankie's banh mi.
They're quite
Still,
delicious.
still trying to get a sponsorship. We'll see how that goes.
I'm hungry.
I could eat 5 a day. Just saying, sort of my thing.
Coming right up.
Let's go ahead and run that, LB. Oh, see, again, that's so weird because I heard all the other stuff, but I don't got to come through here. Well, okay, we're just going to freestyle this one. Ah, my God. How much time do you think we got? Perfect. Ah, look at that. As the boys play the piano. That's not playing the piano. That's digging. I like it. No, that's good. Sorry. I should never judge the artist when he's in the zone.
Never question the technique, Gary.
Oh, to all the people rolling through today, my friend Patty. I got to meet Patty, and I'm telling you, when you meet someone and you just instantly click? That was Patty. She's amazing. She's playing 3 Hall next week, and she gave me a little merch. She has a song called Suicide Duck, and she put it onto a bracelet. So now I got some merch from Patty. To Uncle Brando for making it in here. Thank you, old friend. It's always a pleasure. I can't wait to hug you. To LB, my sweet, beautiful prince on the ones and twos today. Thank you for keeping us on the rails like you always do. And for not chirping us too hard when you, the true musician, came in and heard us just butchering our little project. Oh, so much
punk
talent.
rock, LB.
So much, exactly, right?
We're selling the energy.
That's it.
Not the talent.
So much energy and talent in this room. And to you two jabronis, Uncle Mike, from all the natural products, thank you for always being you and being so beautiful and amazing. I love you. Matt from all the bands, thank you for always sharing your wisdom and your beautiful good looks. Not to mention your skill on the keys. To everyone, remember, karma is a very, very, very real thing, all right? You start doing good things, they will happen to you. There's a reason we end every show saying that, because it's a formula that works. Eventually, I won't be scared to leave the house anymore, and I can't wait for that day. Until then, we will keep doing what we're doing, and we'll be back tomorrow. 4 p.m., we'll check in with Adrian the Canadian on the other side of the world. It's going to be fun. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Smell you later.
That's his catchphrase.